If you remember the scale we discussed, getting nutrients in, toxicities out, what I would like to do now is focus more on the physical aspects and ways that we can help rebalance that scale, even leading up to the surgery. Many of my patients that start and use these modalities actually start feeling better before the surgery. And at that point I offer, if you're feeling better, you can keep your implants. However, every single one says, no, I'm done, let's go ahead. And they improve so much more. So one of the first things I like to introduce is a product called moringa oleifera. It's a hard word to pronounce, but it comes from a tree. It's a tree that's been on the earth for over 4,000 years. It's the most nutrient-dense plant ever discovered. As a matter of fact, in 2008, when I was going through my hand and psoriatic arthritis issues, the National Institute of Health was studying this plant and studied it for an entire year. At the end of that year, they determined that moringa oleifera could cure, mitigate, and reverse over 330 disease processes. That tells us that a natural product can already help rebalance our body. The reason I love moringa oleifera so much is that it saved my career. It fed my body the nutrients it needed, it decreased the inflammation and toxicities. It rebalanced my scale, and I didn't have to do much other than consume it. Moringa oleifera has over 94 identified nutrients in this, including almost all the amino acids the body needs, certainly the 8 essentials that the body needs to function. It has omega-3, 6, and 9 in the correct proportion that the body needs from a plant source, so you don't need to worry about fish oils or mercury or anything from that standpoint. It has all the vitamins, minerals, trace elements, and nutrients that we need. The real kicker is it has 36 naturally occurring anti-inflammatories and 46 antioxidants with minimal to no side effects. So that is what I use for my daily vitamin. I flood my body with the nutrients it needs. It also helps detoxify, so it's balancing my scale every single day. The moringa that I consume is called Moringa Total Health. This moringa is sourced from Central America in completely organic farms and processed with shade drying the tree and the leaves, which actually takes a little longer, a little bit more expensive, but the UV light does not denature the proteins and the nutrients. It's then processed in a plant that meets United States FDA standards, far above food grade standards, and then is shipped directly to your home. The instructions to take this moringa are to mix an 8 to 18 ounces of water and drink it all before breakfast on an empty stomach. Now, I kind of disagree with that. I mix my moringa the night before. I will put 1 scoop in a liter of filtered water and let that set overnight. That helps the enzymes awaken and dissolve into the water. This can be a little bit gritty, so before I take a sip, I will always shake the canister and then take the sip. So with the liter of water, I will start drinking that in the morning before breakfast and throughout the morning. As a matter of fact, I take 2 scoops in 2 liters of water a day. I will finish my first liter before breakfast up until late morning, and then consume the second liter through lunchtime and early afternoon. That way, I'm flooding my body with the nutrients and the hydration that it needs. If my body needs the nutrients, it will absorb it. If it doesn't, it will just pass right through. Another nutrient that we know to consume, but really don't think of as a nutrient, is water. However, we need that water inside our cell, which is called intracellular. Water outside of our cell, or extracellular, is basically water weight gain or inflammation. Most of our physiological and biological processes that occur inside the cell require hydrogen or oxygen, which is basically water. How do we get more water into the cell? There is a process that's called MRET, M-R-E-T, which stands for magnetic resonance effect technology. Now, this is a curious process that was actually discovered after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, in which one city near Chernobyl, inhabitants were not getting as sick as others. A friend of mine, who is Dr. Howard Fisher in Toronto, and one of his cohorts, Dr. Igor Smirnov, worked together and determined that the water source for this city was an underground spring-fed lake, and under the spring was an electromagnetic plate in the earth. When they looked at the water, which is H2O, 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, so the 2 hydrogens are in this location, oxygen is here. The reason that occurs in nature is that the oxygen has a double negative charge and the hydrogens have a single positive charge. So it tries to balance the positivity and negativity out. However, when I was in the 3rd grade and I saw H2O and that triangular shaped structure of water, it kind of really bothered my OCD nature. I wanted those hydrogens on either side because it looks nicer. Now, what Howie and Igor determined was, with the MRET effect, those hydrogens were further separated, making the water more linear. Now, how does that help hydrate the inside of our cell? They also then determined that the way water crosses our cell membrane is through a passive channel that they termed an aquaporin, basically a water door or a water port. That aquaporin is about 1 water molecule wide. And if the water molecule has a triangular or tetrahedral shape to it, it's a little bigger and bulkier and doesn't get through as well. If the water molecule is more linear, it slips right through that aquaporin. And as a matter of fact, the studies that they have done show that 3 times more MRET water get inside the cell than regular water. They have done all sorts of other testings looking at different types of photography, Kirlian photography, and other scientific studies to show the difference and the benefit of the MRET water. What I do is filter my water, use the MRET machine that actually plugs into a 110 outlet. You hit a little button on top, and within 30 minutes that water's restructured and holds that structure for 90 to 120 days. The benefits of this, it's restructured to be more linear, it's more alkaline, and actually helps hydrate our cells so much better. I use the filtered and MRET water mixed with the moringa, which hypersaturates and gets those nutrients to my cells. Now that we've discussed how to get the pure, unadulterated nutrients into our cells where we need them to function, let's talk about how we can enhance our immune support system. Our immune system, obviously, is how our body protects itself. And as we get fatigued and our immune system gets overwhelmed, that's when disease tends to pick up. Couple options that I suggest. Number 1 is immune response formula. Again, my friend, Dr. Howard Fisher, formulated this. He knows about different plant-based products like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, turmeric, resveratrol from red grapes, passion flower, all these different substances that can help our immune system. And he formulated this into a single solution. I take a teaspoon of this every day. The studies that he has done also show how it enhances our immune system, particularly our natural killer cells, our white blood cells, which are the leukocytes, particularly the CD4 and CD8 cells. So another natural, simple way to help boost our immune system. Another naturally occurring substance that greatly can enhance our innate immune system is colloidal silver water. Colloidal silver is a type of silver that we suspend in water using nanometer-sized silver particles suspended in distilled water. This helps with pathogens in our body. Now, to describe and define what a pathogen is, it's any cell, substance, or organism that can get inside the human body and cause disease or illness. So an antipathogen is something that will help the body to protect against pathogens. Silver does this, and it has been shown to attack the wall of bacteria as well as getting into disrupting bacterial DNA. Silver has been used in ancient times to help prevent the spread of disease, and before refrigeration, a silver coin was placed in milk to help maintain the milk's freshness for a longer period of time. We know that there are many other research studies that show that silver work. A recent study showed that the silver, colloidal silver, has been effective in over 650 different microorganisms. We actually make our own colloidal silver water at Aspire. We use a unit that is a scaled down unit of the one that is on the International Space Station. It's a curious story how we got that. When I see you in consult, I'd be happy to fill you in on that. But this imparts between 5 to 7 parts per million silver in colloidal form into distilled water. Since we make our own colloidal silver, I like to pass that value on to you and just charge basically what it cost us to make this. My goal is to help you get well, and this is one of the modalities that I believe will help you. Now that we've increased our nutrition, increased our immune system, how do we start to help the body detoxify? There are multiple ways to do this. One of my favorites is essential oils. I believe that essential oils are God's medicines that He put in plants for us to use to help maintain our bodies. Now, the really interesting thing about essential oils is when you look at the plant and how it exists in nature, that oftentimes can tell us the function of what that essential oil is. The essential oil is the lifeblood for that plant. So if we take the tea tree or the melaleuca tree, we know that it grows in swamps, but that swamp water is murky with algae, fungus, it smells, but the tree needs pure water for it to survive. So the tree will absorb that putrid water. The essential oil will cleanse the water for the rest of the tree. So that's how we know that the properties with tea tree or melaleuca are very purifying. So if you're beginning to get a cold or a flu or something like that, putting that on the bottom of your feet can certainly help your body begin to detoxify from that standpoint. Other oils, such as Roman chamomile, lavender, bergamot, are very calming and very soothing. We know that some of these oils actually reduce the cortisol levels. The cortisol is our stress hormone in our body. If we have high cortisol levels, we're stressed, the body cannot relax and restore itself and rebuild itself. So using some essential oils can certainly do that as well. Many different essential oils, and almost every essential oil has antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral properties. So if you're used to using essential oils, fantastic, keep using them. It doesn't matter what brand, in my opinion. I have my particular favorites, but as long as you're using them, it tends to be very beneficial to your body with minimal side effects. Now, there are some essential oils that you need to be aware that could cause some burning to the skin that might be harmful to your pets or to infants. So do a little bit of due diligence, search online, find a quick tutorial or something just to give you a little bit of guidelines. However, essential oils, in my opinion, are things that I use every day to help benefit my own health. Another wonderful way to help our body detoxify is dry brushing. Now, some of you may have heard of this, some may not. If you've ever watched HGTV and they do a bathroom remodel, you always see a little brush hanging from the shower spout, and usually tied in with the brush are some twigs of lavender. So again, lavender is very calming. But what this brush does is helps the body's lymphatic flow. There are ways to use that to just help the lymphatics in your body begin to bring the waste products from your cells. So the lymphatics are like the garbage men and the route that takes the cell waste back up to our body and the organs of elimination. So we can breathe them out, we can urinate them out, we can sweat them out, or we can defecate them out. That is the way our body detoxifies. But by using this type of a flow, the lymphatic flow, it can help your body naturally remove some of those toxins. A really fun way to detoxify and actually get a little exercise is called rebounding. Now it sounds really glamorous and all that. It's basically jumping up and down on a little mini trampoline. Now you can do that on the floor. However, if you have bad knees or hip issues or back issues, it can cause some stress on your joints. But the fun thing is on that trampoline, you get that slow decrease to the stop and the sudden acceleration back up. And there's something about that with every single cell of our body experiencing that at the same time that moves some of the lymphatics, but it helps shake the cells up so it can continue to help the body detoxify. Now, from an energetic standpoint, I also believe that the electromagnetic and electrical fields in our body is kind of like a torus or like a donut, and that's how it flows through. And I believe that this vertical vibratory motion certainly helps with that as well. So the rebounder is just a nice little mini trampoline. The beautiful thing about that is you can go stand on that, you can jump on it for 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. But if you get tired, you're 3 steps from the couch. If you're on a jog or a bike ride and you're 3 miles from home and you're tired, you still have to get home. So again, a wonderful way to help the body detoxify. There are some people that really like these vibratory machines, and some of the gyms have these types of machines where it's a big metal plate that you go stand and the plate will vibrate for you. It's another way to do it. I still think it's more fun to get on that rebounder and just control it yourself and jump up and down. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. Previously, we mentioned essential oils and how wonderful they are for our bodies. Another way to use essential oils, but to help our body detoxify, is using essential oils in an Epsom salt bath. There are multiple benefits for this. We've already talked about the benefits of essential oils, and you can put different types of oils, mix them in, and get all sorts of benefits. It makes your house smell wonderful, it's relaxing, and usually 30 minutes after I do one of these baths, I'm in bed asleep. The other benefit is the Epsom salts. Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. It's estimated that about 70 to 80% of the American people are low on magnesium. But where do we need that magnesium? Inside the cell, just like we need the nutrients and just like we need the water. When your health practitioner orders a blood level, a serum level, they will check your magnesium. However, that is not testing intracellular magnesium. It's a quick, easy way to test magnesium in your bloodstream, but the real true way to get a true intracellular magnesium level is to do a little slight tongue scraping to get a few cells. However, that's a very expensive study, and therefore nobody's really ordering those. So assuming that 75 to 80% of the American population is low on the intracellular magnesium, how do we help to correct this? One way is to take oral magnesium. However, you have to be careful. It depends on how that magnesium is paired. If it's magnesium glycinate, magnesium taurate, magnesium chloride, all these different types have different effects and different bioavailability. As a matter of fact, there are some magnesium formulations. If you go to your drugstore and look on the shelf for laxatives, there's magnesium citrate that oftentimes is used for bowel preps. There's Phillips milk of magnesia. So you have to be careful with the oral ingestion of some of these magnesiums. It also takes a long time for orally ingested magnesium to have an effect on serum, let alone intracellular magnesium levels. What is the largest organ of our body? It's our skin. I have found one of the best ways to get magnesium into my body is transcutaneously or across the skin. Now, if you do a PubMed research review, there is a paper that reviews transcutaneous versus oral, and it's still a little bit nebulous, that it's not really controlled. However, we do see benefits from transcutaneous. The nice thing with the transcutaneous is you don't run the risk of having diarrhea, and you bypass the first pass phenomenon. What is that? That's whenever we ingest a medication, food, or anything that gets absorbed through our intestinal system, the first place it goes is through our liver, and it gets filtered through that aspect. So it can change some of those properties in the absorption and may not be bioavailable for our cells. When you use the magnesium transcutaneously, it gets absorbed through the skin and absorbed directly into the veins, into your bloodstream. Now, what I typically do is after I get out of the shower, will dry myself off and either use a magnesium lotion or a magnesium spray. If I'm using the lotion, I'll put 2 teaspoons in my palms, rub them together, rub them in my armpits and in the groin on the inside of my thighs. If I'm using the spray, the bottle and my mentor tells me to use 10 sprays a day on my skin. So what I will do is I will up it a little bit. I'll put 3 sprays in my left armpit, 3 in my right, 3 on each groin. That gets me at least 10 sprays of the magnesium and then rub it into those areas. Why do I choose those areas? It's very thin skin and there are big veins underneath, so I feel that it gets absorbed much more effectively. I believe that magnesium is one of the most required nutrients and chemicals, if you will, for our body. We need it for muscle function, muscle contraction, bone health, bone density, neurological function, including brain function, peripheral nerves, cardiac rhythms, all these different aspects. Magnesium is essential for our body, and we need to continue to get more in. I personally believe that a lot of people that have fatigue issues or potential muscle issues could have a component of low intracellular magnesium. I was introduced to a tea called premium tea several years ago. This is the most detoxifying tea that I've ever consumed. The instructions say steep it for 5 to 30 minutes at night before bedtime, and within about 8 to 10 hours the next morning, you will have a moving experience. Afterwards, you will feel so much lighter and so much more clear. I typically steep this for 30 minutes and just drink it once on a weekend when I know I don't have anything that I need to do the following morning. In my cosmetic surgery practice, I actually have a lot of patients asking about weight loss, or they'll come in saying they want to have liposuction to help them lose weight. Using the premium tea to help the body detoxify and the moringa, getting the nutrients in, depending on how much weight they want to lose, we can offer a way to help the body be fed naturally as well as detoxify and naturally lose weight.